So very good. First of all, uh, uh, on behalf of NIT, thank you everybody inviting me to this session. Hinaji and everybody else, whoever has agreed that I should be able to present my ideas here. I'm thankful to everyone. So my topic, as I have been given, is we have been understanding what is universal human values. By now, every one of us would have got some idea. The basis of universal human values is order in the existence. There is a order in the existence, and in this existence only human values are seen or understood. So, in this context, my topic is to understand order in human beings. What exactly is place, purpose, goal of human beings in the whole existence? This question comes to our mind right from childhood, and we are given to understand many views how we should identify human goal. So, in today's discussion, I don't know whether we will be able to have discussion or will it be monologue. I'll be pretty happy if you can interrupt me anytime, and if there is any question or clarification, I will be very happy to attend to that as I am addressing or as I am speaking. So, we will have in our discussion three topics. Number one, how do we understand human goal? What is the technique? You know, how should we decipher what can be human goal? Not that it has to be imposed by anybody, but naturally, how do we see? That is going to be the first part. And second part is to understand as human beings who we are, what we are. This question, since human beings have been there on this earth, have been asked by many people, who am I? What are human beings? And third would be, what are needs of human beings? Because all that effort we are making is to fulfill our needs, whether
Sorry, sir, you are not audible, sir.
Sir, you are not audible. Network issue.
am I
Yes,
okay? Am I audible
now
now? Is
audible.
it okay? So I will just be here. I
Yes.
think this is a better location. So
Again, not audible, sir.
Haji, am I
Yes.
audible now? Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So I will repeat what I said in the introduction again. है ना? I just said that first of all, please do let me know if I'm not audible. Any one of you can just let me know so I can adjust the phone. But I'm getting a continuous signal right now, so I hope I would be able to interact with you. And if there is any clarification anytime as to whatever I am saying, please do interrupt me and you can ask that clarification then and there only, so that we can have little bit of discussion. I would very much appreciate that. You know, that's first part. Secondly, I did say that the my topic today is to understand human beings. I was saying that the basis of universal human values is there is a order in existence, and human is defined within the existence, and human values are understanding in that order, which is already there in the nature or existence. Right from childhood, we have been wondering as to what our goal is, what our purpose is, and we are given to understand or given many views as to what human goal is. Today, in my discussion, I will be addressing 3 points. Number one, what could be the basis of human goal? How can we decipher it on our own basis? That is first part, or we can derive it from certain points. That is going to be the first part of my discussion with you. Second is, who am I? What is human beings? Again, this is a question, perennial question, since human beings have been there on this planet Earth. This question has been asked by many people, and there have been many proposed answers. So we would be looking at that question as well, because it is very important to understand us as a human being, who we are, in order to understand what our goal is and how to fulfill it. So this is interconnected. And third part is that whatever effort we are making, whether we are going through the education, we are studying in colleges, universities, we want to fulfill our needs. So what are our needs? Can we identify them? Are they infinite, or they are ascertainable and definite? This is going to be the third part of my discussion. uh, I would be covering these 3 topics. And now I would like to ask Hinaji, is that okay if I cover these 3 points in the
Yes,
discussion
sir.
today?
Yes,
Very
sir.
good.
Nice
Wonderful.
topics.
Wonderful. So these are the 3 aspects I would be covering. Let us first look at what could be human goal. How do we see that? So I have as I study myself, and from the my point of view, and as I see from my child point of view, or whoever my friends are, as I survey, as I examine within myself, or scrutinize within myself, and with my friends and families, and see for the whole human beings, I see 3 bases to understand human goal. Number one is the evolution itself. How do I see the evolution of the human beings on this planet? Second is, how do I see the human aspirations? That is second part. Or third part is, can we study the child? As a child which is newly born, what are the tendencies it demonstrates right from the childhood? So if we study 3 points, I think we will be able to derive what exactly we are looking as a human beings. So uh, uh, if we look from the evolution point of view, we see that as human beings or Homo sapiens, in the form of Homo sapiens, we have been there on this planet for last 200,000 years. And what have we been doing? There are many studies, there are many historical accounts of that. People have been studying that. I have also studied from my point of view, and I'm very happy to share my view on this. And I invite you to examine it, whether you also see it like that, or do we need to add or modify it further. That would be pretty happy. I would be very happy. Hinaji would be having my contact numbers. If you are not able to share now, I would be very happy if you will be able to give that feedback to her, and then she can share it, that feedback to me. So the way I see, in the journey, in on this planet, which has been over about as a Homo sapiens for about 2 lakh years, we have spent 1,90,000 years just in survival. The moment we had to learn to live with the natural phenomena like rain, fire, forest, wild animals. That has been our first preoccupation on this earth. That is just the survival, and our well-being, as we would have seen at that time, as we would have identified our well-being, we identified only surviving the natural forces, natural phenomena, natural factors, how to negotiate with these phenomena, how to learn And you could see today we are studying in NITs, IITs, or universities. We have labs, we have computers, we have projectors, we have a lot of study material. What we, if we imagine, because we have infinite power of imagination, we can transport ourselves very easily to that period when our forefathers would have been struggling to live in jungles, and what we would have been doing, what we would have been teaching to our children. The education would have been very different at that time. Education would have been just to how to identify poisonous snakes, how to identify wild animals, how to negotiate, how to survive, how to identify food. That would have been our biggest struggle for 1,90,000 years. What is edible, what is not edible, plants or whatever we would have been making effort. That has been part of out of 2 lakh. If we see 1 lakh about 90,000 years, we would have been just negotiating with the natural phenomena. In the course of that survival, we learned agriculture. We identified that there is a certain process, the certain seeds which are edible can be grown by human application of knowledge, application of information, or whatever phenomena we would have observed. So, as we see, the agriculture just is about 12,000 year old. We, the moment we got into agriculture, we started settling into colonies and habitats, and that is how we got to get together as a society. That is the earliest part of settlements, and there are many civilizations: Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Indus Valley, Egypt, Mesopotamia as we call it. And all then when we study that how we would have learned to do farming and got settled together and starting interacting as a families or societies. And after getting into agriculture, that means now our survival was bit ensured. That is a first milestone in human journey on this planet. That we could ensure that we will have enough to eat, and that is when the population start growing. Then came the development of ideas. It's not that ideas was not there before 1,90,000 years or 12,000 years back, but it became now a focused effort, and we started thinking ki who we are and how do we exist on this planet. This came in predominance, and that is how many kind of, if you see, all kind of what we call today religions or thoughts started coming into picture, and we started identify each god or goddesses or thoughts or powers, some supernatural powers we start imagining, and thinking that there are certain powers which control the natural phenomena. And this almost predominant idea came into each and every settlement which we call tribes, and the tribe culture started developing. That is how we can see that, or see in our imagination. uh, Earlier fights were perhaps for the food, for the shelter, but now one cause of fight of human beings got added, that my idea is better than yours, or my god or my goddess is better than yours. And we started identifying ourselves with certain god goddesses or our thoughts, and that continued about we would say up to 500 AD. So about 10,000 or so years, or 10,000 or 11,000 500 years, we can approximately see that journey. It is only once Renaissance started, so we call it that universal ideas, which we call the scientific thoughts, we started happening when we started developing like law of gravitation, laws of motion, geometrical laws. Then we started things that there are certain things which are universal. Until then, and then the logic came into predominance. Logic was there earlier also, but as the scientific age came, we started identifying universal thoughts or universal ideas. That was a big milestone, that human civilization started looking that can be certain things which can be universal rather than according to their own scriptures. For example, what we today call Hindu scriptures will define existence in certain way, Bible will define it certain way, Quran will define it in certain way, Jainism will define it certain way, Buddhism and Confucianism or whatever. There are many isms that were prevalent at that time. They had idea of existence and idea of human beings and what happens after that according to their own thoughts, and they had adamant views that they were only the correct ones. But when certain people, philosophers, thought that it's not sufficient, then only we started thinking that we're missing a big thing, and the community which started looking to the universal ideas, which could be verified, known as scientific community, started identifying such phenomena as universal phenomena or universal laws, universal theories, and that is a scientific age. That was a second, I would say, biggest milestone, and very soon that led to industrialization. And what we did was the industrialization made too many things available to us, things of comfort. So, first survival, then thoughts, and then our focus as a human society got into the developing things for of comforts for human beings. And that is how, if you see in last 200 years, we have got all the things of comfort which we call car, AC, heater, clothes, or different kind of foods, machines. This is nothing, just more, just about 200 to or 300 years old, just after advent of industrialization. So in the journey of 2 lakh years, we see that 1 lakh 90,000 we just spent on survival, about 10,000 or 11,500 different ideas, scientific ideas about 500-year old, and industrialization about 200-year old. And now we have too much of the comfort, if you see today, and too much of the industrialization. We are also observing this has caused many environmental and social imbalances, whatever we could achieve, and modern technologies, whatever things of consumerism, as we call it, that we need things for our well-being, many things for our well-being. That is what we think, and this idea has led to production of many things. And today we are producing food about 2.5 times than what is required for human society. That is a one calculation. We have a lot of clothes, we have a lot of houses, we have plenty of cars, aeroplanes, plenty of machines. And if you see a simple person or a king, the things of comfort, what even a king wouldn't have in about year of 1500, a middle class family would have many more things than a king in medieval age. So many things of comfort we have. So what is left over? What are we looking for now? So I would say that sense of well-being, sense of meaning, sense of happiness is still missing in ourselves. So if we see the evolution, this after ensuring survival, identifying universal thoughts or natural laws in the existence, we got things of comfort. And now whatever is remaining is how to live happily, how to, what is our sense of well-being, that is remaining. This is what we have to fulfill. So that is one way of looking at it, ki what is the direction of the evolution, and according to that we can decipher that what is the human goal. And from that I conclude that our goal now looks to be that how to live happily. Otherwise the tendencies of let's say aloneness, aloofness, tension, stress, it is increasing in our daily life and individual level. In the families there are a lot of complaints and strife and as we can see division, and in nutshell not able to live in a family, whether we are young or old. It's very difficult to get harmony within the family today. Whatever we had achieved in medieval ages because of our own sectorial ideas, because of our faith. And now, since the faith has been overcome by the logic, by the science, today uh, that faith-based structures are crumbling. So we have to find something to withstand logically. So our need today is ki how to live happily, how to otherwise the way we are living, if we extrapolate that living, the production, the GDP, then we are sure to what we call destroy ourselves. We are going towards doomsday, as the scientists are predicting, in the form of global warming, pollution, resource depletion. These are the biggest challenges. So, whatever things we have made, whether they are sustainable, it has become a question mark. And then root is, have we searched the meaning? What is the meaning of life? How do we live fulfilled life? It's the biggest challenge. So that is the only thing is remaining. I don't think we need to do many more things for the comfort. We are going in the direction of artificial intelligence, but we have to ask ourselves, what do we do with that? Will it give us happiness? And many historians, you will find, if you read writers like Yuval Noah Harari or Bertrand Russell or things like that, many philosophers and modern as well are raising this question. It's good that we are making a lot of technical progresses, but what use is that for human being if it is going to be cause of our destruction? Do we are heading towards mutual destruction, or do we want to survive on this planet happily? And this idea itself, whether what is the fate of this planet on its own, whether it's a continuous survival or destruction. So this, I think, is the bigger question for us as we study engineering or technology or medicine or whatever we are studying. How do we live happily? That is a very common minimum program for every human being. In addition to whatever we may participate in technological development, and we have to identify what is right technology, because right technology is the technology which is going to support the human goal as we are going to identify today. And this is only as a proposal. I invite you all to examine whether that is the only human goal or what it could be. But that is the one way of looking human goal, that is looking at the direction of evolution which has been occurring collectively on this planet. That was the one part. Should I stop if anybody has question right now, Hinaji? Any observation, or any of the students or faculty who is
Yes,
listening?
you can ask questions.
G. Any point of clarification, my dear friends? Anybody?
Sir,
G.
sir, you said that we are producing food at time mul- multiple times than we need.
Yeah.
Still, we are facing hunger issues and poverty issues.
Yes. Very good question, I would say. And I forgot to mention this. That is a dilemma for human beings now. On one hand, we are wasting food. We are producing almost 2.5 times than our needs. Similarly, the houses, similarly the clothes, is still in our amongst ourselves. There are population which is going without food. Still, there are deaths due to hunger and or in the cold. People in our own country don't have clothes or houses. So, how do we see this dilemma? What is the cause of that? What was your name? Please, can you identify who asked the question?
Anish,
Anis, beta, can you just tell me what could be the cause while we are producing so much? Why isn't everybody getting the food, or why certain people are not getting it?
lack of proper system.
Exactly. So this is what is left over. So that is a challenge for us. Ki how should we make that proper system? Not only food, how should everybody get food, housing, clothing, at least the necessities that everybody should get. So there is a proposal in this universal human values. There is a solution, how everybody can get access to these things. Correct, Anis beta?
Yes, sir.
G. So as you go ahead and we examine these proposals, we will understand these dichotomies, this contradiction. Ki on the one hand, we are producing more. On the other hand, not everybody is getting, in spite of whatever governmental, social efforts, NGOs efforts. So what is missing, that also we'll be able to identify when we go through this course of universal human values in detail. Good, very good point.
Shyam,
Anybody else?
ask a
Yeah,
question.
yes.
Sir, I wanted to ask a question.
G, please.
So you said that as we are progressing and modernizing, we are losing the sense of life. So does that mean that the older people had more sense of life? and the meaning of life?
No, I didn't say that. Mayur bhai, is it?
No,
Mayur?
no. Shayan, sir.
And
Shayan.
Syam.
Shayan.
Shyam, yeah, Shyan. Yes, yes, I didn't say. I said that that is remaining. I said that we have fulfilled two, three aspects like survival, ensuring survival. That is shows in the population. We have got certain universal ideas in the form of science. Then we have got comfort, things of comforts. So I said that is missing. That has to be completed yet. That is the third. Will be the third or fourth milestones in human life. That is what I
Sir,
said. Hmm.
sir, does misery give meaning to life? Like, the more the problem we have, the more there is to discover in life.
Think of it whether we want miseries or we want satisfaction. What is that we are looking at? You know? We want to overcome miseries.
So
We
that's the
want.
thing. So
Hmm.
overcoming miseries is like it gives us a purpose that like we have to overcome this misery, and that
Okay, so
becomes our life. That
very
like
good. And now let us say that suppose we have overcome all the miseries,
yeah. So then we lack of a goal and we are aimless and we
then we
lose a
will
sense
become
of
endless.
life and we become
Okay,
existential about
okay.
what we want to do.
So when I will finish this talk, I will be giving a proposal. And if I examine, I can say it now also, but I would like to examine two other aspects. So we will never be aimless. See, once one thing is whenever a goal is achieved, then there is a continuity of that goal, maintenance as we call, right? So if we understand the order properly, the overcoming miseries is not the goal. है ना? Sustainability of sense of happiness or sense of well-being is going to be our goal. So we'll never be aimless if we understand that goal.
So does the so can I ask one more question?
Please go ahead. As I
So
said,
does the social construct like is it constructed in such a sense that it gives meaning of life to all the individuals? Like we have
uh,
set things like at this point of time you have to do this, at this point of time you have to do this, so the mind does not wander around.
it is not the social construct because whatever is going to be imposed by our own limited thinking, the proposal here of this universal human values is that existence is already having a purpose of human being which is inherent to every human being. That would be our proposal here, so you
So but
don't have
why
to construct it.
so but why does the individuals who are more aloof from the society becomes more existential?
What is the meaning of existential?
Existential matlab like questioning about life. Why does that often
The
happen?
people okay, this brings me to identify the traits of children, right? And then you will see that it is not the people who are aloof but it is inherent to a child. So let me complete the second part and then you can ask again
Okay, okay,
question, right?
okay, sir.
And
Yes,
as
sir.
I said, we can continue to have the dialogue, so I have
Yes.
only given right now the first part of my this or first sub part. As I was saying that we are going to examine the human goal in the first part, so I have only taken up the one theme which is the evolution. Second thing is understanding the child, right? And then we can discuss it further. Should I go ahead with the second theme?
Yes, sir.
Naji? Okay, okay. So second theme is understanding a child. है ना? So you, all of us have been a child sometimes, and if we can remember that period when we were little children, है ना? जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं, जब मैं छोटा बच्चा था, हालांकि उसके साथ आता है बड़ी शरारत करता था, but that nature of that naughtiness was a little different. And what was it? है ना? So when we examine a human child, it shows certain universal human traits. Universal traits. Let us see what kind of traits a human child demonstrate right from the childhood. When we can start observing, when it start expressing itself through language, when we are able to teach. So one universal trait is that a child is curious by nature. Every child right from the beginning is very curious. It wants to question everything. It wants to understand every phenomena, everything around it. That is the first trait that child demonstrate, and which is that that only two things can be done with this trait. Either it can be nurtured further, or it can be suppressed. Usually what is happening as we go along with our current educational system, and I'm not saying that it is wrong or it is completely haywire, but it has certain, at least in India, a certain sense to it that it is struggle for job. And in that part or rote learning, sometimes we forget to question, or we lose our sense of curiosity. And later on, the people who are aloof, they only supposed to, or tend to start questioning or remember the old things. Otherwise, there could be another way of teaching, that this sense of curiosity is nurtured further, developed further, and ways are suggested how to satisfy that inquisitiveness. So that is a one universal trait of a human child. Second is that human child is very sensitive, and it actually look towards to equality among the children, among his friends or family members. It demonstrates that everybody should be treated fairly. That is, that it needs rather than everybody needs to be treated fairly. At least he wants to be treated fairly, he or she. Everybody, every child needs seeks justice, basically what is called. And our child's sense of justice is just the sense of being treated fairly. It doesn't like impartiality at all. And all along our life we seek justice, whether in school, hostel, colleges, jobs. And that is very essential to human child, and which we keep on depicting. So when we look at the universal traits, we see that is the second trait in the human child, which is universal, whether it is Indian child, Pakistani child, English child, American child, or whichever culture. If we study child, this is the second trait. Third universal trait is that human child wants to do right thing or right behavior. That is also its and that is what it shows indications that he wants to learn what is right and what is wrong. And it keep on asking his parents. Initially he assumes that his parents are right, but seeing the contradiction between their behavior and what they say, soon learned becomes hopeless, or little doesn't see any, at least within the parents, he becomes a little bit hopeless, and then looks for something in the teachers. Or when he finds contradiction within the teachers also, then he looks for the other places. uh, and but that is what he keep on looking for. So that is another thing, that it's a curious, it seeks justice. Third, he wants to do right. And there is one another trait, which is that which I'm right now a little bit missing, but it comes to my mind. Hinaji, do you remember what is the fourth trait that a child depicts?
जी भैया.
एक तो a child depicts four kind of traits. One is that it seeks justice, न्याय का याचक,
अच्छा,
सही,
न्याय का, एक मिनट.
जिज्ञासु, सही
सत्यवक्ता
कार्य,
होता है, न्याय का
सत्यवक्ता.
याचक.
Yes, the fourth thing is that it likes to speak truth. Whatever, and truth means as this sees. Whatever he sees, that is what he try to depicts, irrespective of the pressure from. Thank you, Inaji. You did mention it. हम जिसको सत्यवक्ता कहते हैं, और speaker of the truth. Not that always, but that is how it begin. But when he sees the behavior of our elders, so he becomes little bit doubtful, and learn to have diplomacy, when to speak truth, when not to have. But when he see the child, he seeks truth, justice. He's curious, want to do the right. Only if it is missing from his education part, he becomes little bit hopeless, and जिसको कहते हैं निराश in life. But that is how a child is. So it is not that only certain people ask what is the question, but childhood, right from the childhood, every child is curious. So anybody has, or Sayan, as he was asking, Sanbeta, do you think, does that sound something familiar to you, or that basically every child is curious? It's not that only certain people would show what is or search meaning for life.
Arya, ask your question.
Anybody want
So,
to?
what would be the changes in the traits of child if the system or environment fails to deliver the justice?
Which is what we are facing. What we call, if a system is not able to deliver, if they are not able to see justice, they become hopeless. निराश हो जाते हैं. Get into hopelessness, aimlessness, because they lose faith in the system. If system is not able to deliver these things, and which is what we find with most of the youth, they feel whether anything can be trusted.
So do this also leads to depression?
Yes, yes. What is your name, please? Can you identify yourself?
So Arya.
Arya beta. Yes, to depression, hopelessness, and a lack of trust, because this is what child seeks right from the childhood. But if our family system or educational system or social system is not able to deliver, we are still searching. To some extent, it is able to, or maybe certain people see something, so they keep on searching for the ways. Anyways, we keep on looking for justice and to fulfill our curiosities. And you are right, if a system or families fail to deliver this to our kids or children, they become depressed, or or develop stress or abnormal behavior, as we can call it, or can lead to little aimlessness in life.
So, but even if the system or the family succeeds in succeeds in fulfilling all the four criterias,
Mhm.
but the child is still set to fail in the real world because he or she will come across that justice is never served.
Okay, so you are saying that in family there is justice, but in the system is not there. That is what you are saying?
Yes, I
Yes,
mean, like
yes.
it is setting up the child is being set up to an idealistic standard.
Yes, to in the family, let's say, right? So
Yes,
you have come to a very good conclusion then. So the solution is what? What do you see the solution out of this situation? If child seeks justice and he seeks justice everywhere, and so what could be the solution in your thoughts?
the chi- I think my take on this is that the family should um, make sure that the child knows what really happens.
Good. So you're right. We need good
Not
model, good role model, as Kundan Bhai is saying, Kundan Beta is saying. See, there are two solutions, and again, please do not consider any of my view as imposition, but just as a thought for food or food for thought. है ना?
yes, sir.
Things to examine. I the Because I am engaged in this pursuit, so I have two solutions to this. That we have big challenge, and maybe may not be able to fulfill this in my lifetime, or the few friends that we are trying. One is that yes, child should be set a realistic view of life. Yes,
Yes, sir.
that is one part. Along with it, that together we together strive to create fair systems in our society. We are moving in that direction bit by bit. If you imagine the societies of 5 years back, autocratic or non-democratic or very violent societies, today you will find that fairness has little bit increasing, isn't it? Earlier, if somebody king has to be selected, perhaps it would be selected based on who can kill or who can have force. Today, at least, there is some form of election, and it is not the point of argument. We can always argue that even electorate system is not very fair, but comparatively, as compared to autocratic system, this seems to be little better. So we are moving in the direction. So I see two big tasks. One is that child should have a realistic view of life and what is he or she should be expecting outside world. Secondly, as elders, we should be striving wherever we are or together to form fair societies, fair systems. This I see a collective program for human beings, and this will lead us to the goal. What is the goal of human being? Which is what I said, that examining these aspects, we can decipher our goal. We can have a goal setting for human beings.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Wonder.
that's really good, sir. Yes.
Wonderful. So this is what we see, because where we are looking at is we are looking at the universality in what if everybody wants justice, then it will only be served if we have fair systems. But we are moving in that direction. We have not reached, as I said, we have reached achieved many goals in our human journey. As I said, that we have ensured survival, which is being questionable because of the global warming and pesticides and many other things. So we will have to examine those things, how we can have survival as well as well-being, sense of well-being, fairness. So that is the second aspect. So this leads us to, yes, so how can we set the goal? So that is what the second thing, that a child really needs justice. So we need systems in family, in jobs, in production, in exchange. These are our activities. Whatever human systems are there, like police, judicial, public participation, that they should be fair. How can we make them fair? If we have understanding of the universal laws of existence and apply to human beings, my take is that we can move an inch forward or further to set up very fair systems so that we can have a very fair system for everybody. But that's a big challenge. It is easier said than done. But however, beginning has to be made. And I think all of you, if you understand, you will be contributing a lot as a young generation in that system. And that is why I think such courses are being designed, that in addition to being director, engineer, lawyer, doctor, IS officer, IPS officer, or whatever participation we are doing in society for our job as well as participating in the human system, that how can we make these systems fair? That is a big challenge to us. And for that, this understanding of universal human being is required. That is what we believe. So that was the second aspect. Third theme, I would say, which we can each of us can examine among ourselves. So first, I said the evolutionary process. Second, understanding a child. Today, if we examine ourselves, what do we want? So my proposal is that whatever effort we are making in ourselves in daily life, actually we are seeking happiness. The whatever efforts we make, we are seeking happiness, peace, contentment, joy. These are the things we are looking in our day to day life. We do get momentarily joy or happiness through some activities like film, food, party. You know, however, during the parties also we develop certain jealousy, and as a college in the college or hostel, you would be seeing that even the activities of fun turn into struggle or fight when they are not fair, or you see sense of unfairness, because sense of fairness is so core to us. So, but if we look at human aspiration, we can identify that if you look at the animals in compared to animals, animals are good enough. For them, survival is necessary as well as sufficient. But if you look at the human aspiration, survival is essential, but it is not sufficient. And that is why you would see when you will study human beings, that many humans who have a lot of source of survival, they have a lot of wealth, still they commit suicide if they fail to see sense of happiness or sense of well-being. So the whole effort of human being is to ensure happiness. At least they are in the hope of happiness, that whatever their effort or they are making, they will get happiness. Whether they will get or do not get, that is a separate matter. But if we examine ourselves, what we are doing, if I ask anybody question, you would answer. If I say that does anybody make any effort to be sad or unhappy or miserable in life, I don't think anybody, any one of you actively make any effort that okay, I should become miserable or unhappy or sad. I don't think any one of you will say that. Should I pause for a moment if anybody could say?
So kinda to get something, like to achieve something, we put ourselves in little bit less comfort and less happiness zone.
Fine, but you want to achieve something, so you are seeking happiness through whatever you want to
Yeah,
achieve, isn't it?
for
So
bigger happiness, I will
bigger happiness,
sacrifice.
which is what I say. So you actually are making effort for whatever you call bigger happiness, or and ultimately looking for happiness, right? You don't plan unhappiness, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Every one of exactly. So this is the third thing. What happens? We become unhappy in the pursuit of happiness because result may be happiness or sadness. Most of the time, whatever we are doing, when we observe ourselves that we are looking for happiness with friends, but it turns into fight or jealousy or whatever competition. We make friends to happiness, but there is a momentarily happiness. We seek happiness with our brothers, with our sisters, with our parents in family, but it turns into fight or in disharmony or sadness or fright or whatever we can give the name, friction or we can say struggle at the least. But we are making efforts to be happy. We want to make our relationships happy, whether they be parents or our siblings or whoever they are. But do we know how to be happy first ourselves? If we are happy in ourselves, then only we will be making able to make happy others. So what is happiness? That would be the second question. I'm sure you would have asked if you were in the class and I was in front of you. By now, many hands would have been raised and they would have asked, okay, we are seeking happiness. Is it tangible thing or is it subjective or is it universal? That would be the question. Okay. Anybody could like to guess whether it's first of all, is happiness tangible or is it subjective or is it universal? What do you think?
Subjective,
Tangible
sir.
or subjective? Is it tangible or intangible? Imaginary or real, let's say. Do we imagine
Intangible, sir.
happiness? Sorry,
Intangible.
tangible,
Tangible, yes, sir.
isn't it? So it is real thing. Maybe it is not perceived through senses. We see the reality through our perception. You know? So something from senses, then we analyze it, and then there is a conception. So there is a concept of happiness. So right now, one of you answered it's subjective. I would not be surprised that most of think right now think like that. And you may be surprised or taken by surprise if I say that happiness is universal actually. Comfort is subjective. The things we enjoy through senses, somebody may enjoy pizza, but not all of you may enjoy pizza. Someone of you may enjoy, let's say, pasta, but not all of you may enjoy pasta. Someone of you may enjoy samosas, or let's say clothing, color. The senses that we see or perceives, whatever sense comforts that we seek for our body, that is subjective. But when we look for happiness, actually that is universal. In fact, that is what I would be suggesting. So that would, since we are all the effort that we are making is for happiness, it is very essential that we understand what is the universal sense of happiness among human beings, right? So in next few minutes, I would be proposing what is the sense of happiness, which is universal in every human being. This, which is what we are seeking through many means. And when you will examine, you will find, oh, this is what I was looking for actually. And then you will find that every one of us is looking actually for that only. Okay. Should I put it before, or is there any question?
Sir, our goal should be to be content, right? Because being content uh, is more stable than happiness, because happiness is
I do
more
agree.
more
Once
derived
we,
from others and surroundings, or
okay, okay,
and being content is more from ourselves.
okay.
So so it can last longer than happiness, which is happiness can never last longer than contentness.
Wonderful. So, okay, let's just say you have raised a big issue. In even happiness, we are not looking momentarily. We are looking continuous happiness. So you, I think, are suggesting that content is continuity of happiness, right?
Yes, a continuity of happiness, but with oneself, not with
Agreed.
others or
So I,
objects or everything.
so I have not yet defined the happiness. In fact, I would be defining happiness as a universality. Universal sense of well-being is happiness. That is how I would be defining it. And I would be defining four aspects of happiness, right?
Yes, sir.
Which
Yeah.
is universal. So let me define it and then we can understand. So, in fact, if we see just to understand what is our problem or sadness, what are the factors, what is our state of being sadness. This will give clue to what we are looking for. So let me just first, though I would say the happiness is absolute, it is not dependent on defining certain, it is not depending on the relative situation. Happiness actually is a absolute state of well-being. If I say happiness is absolute state of well-being. So let me define what is absolute state of well-being. And then we'll see the lack of happiness or this absolute state of well-being is actually sadness or miseries or depression. So let me first define what is happiness. So happiness I would see at four level, which that I see. So four level, my state of being or perception at four level, or the way I perceive myself, or way I see myself, or the sense of feeling in me. You know? So one is absolute confidence in myself. What is absolute confidence? I will define it. But first, what is absolute confidence? If there is no confidence in myself, then I see in myself fear, worries, stress, pain of the relationships, questions, and sort of many other things that I see. So, if I don't have confidence, I have fear of death. I have fear of respect. Whether I will be respected or not, whether I can be insulted anywhere, how do I ensure my respect? So if I'm not confident, then these are the things that I see in myself. I have fear of death, fear of respect, fear of losing money, fear of losing my position, whatever I have in society or family. So lack of confidence is seen in myself as fear and worries of the future. What will happen to me, whether I will get job, whether I will have a, or comparatively better job than what I am studying, or while what I will end up doing, depending upon whether I will be able to meet the expectation of my family. These are the worries for me if I'm not confident. Then pain of the past, that whatever whoever troubled me or whoever mistreated me, if I think of that, I keep on feeling miserable. And how do I get rid of that? Whatever pain I have been inflicted in my childhood or my continuity of my youth, if I am still accompanying by these things, or there are certain passions in me, like anger or attachments or things like that, or hatred in myself, that is jealous in myself, that is also cause of the unhappiness in me, or which is actually the signal of lack of confidence. So first trait of happiness is that if I have confidence in myself, then only I am happy, otherwise I'm miserable, sad. That's the first part. If I'm happy, in the sense if I'm confident, then my relationship are harmonious. Otherwise there is always strife in relationships, there is always complaint and sort of fight within the relationship, whatever relationship I have. So my second level of happiness, if I am confident within myself, then I am able to develop harmonious relationship everywhere, whether within family or whether everywhere. And start with family. Third, if I am confident, I am able to see or develop sense of prosperity in family. I can produce things. I can meet my. I'm capable of meeting my physical needs, which are related to food, shelter, housing, clothing, things like that. That is the third aspect of being confident and being happy. Fourth is that I have a very, see, I also struggle what is my value in the, which is what we are talking of, the universal values. What is my value in the society? Am I important, or I am nothing, or I am negligible in the whole system? How do I ensure my participation in the society, which gives me again satisfaction of my being, my presence? That is another aspect of happiness. And of course at bigger level, I have to, I will be worried if all collective we are not ensuring balance in the nature, because today if there is a global warming, all of us will be concerned about how we are going to survive, whether earth will become will continue to produce things, or it will become barren, or it will remain fertile, or we will get water or all natural resources to survive. So these, as a collective human beings, now we look at it, because everybody would wants to be confident, everybody would want prosperity, everybody would want fearlessness in society. Nobody wants fear in the society, fear of let's say our money being taken away, our wealth being taken away, or the fear of losing our wealth, or fear of harm to our body. So we want fearlessness in society. So when we look at the themes, as I say, three themes: the sense of evolution, theme of childhood characteristics, theme of our aspiration. Our aspiration, when we examine, we find that we are looking for confidence in self, prosperity in family, fearlessness in society, and coexistence with nature. These are the universal traits of happiness that everybody is seeking, directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly. And this is what we can identify as a universal goal of human beings. It's just not individual, it is universal. Everyone can feel happy if this is what we achieve individually and collectively. So I would say that after this first part of discussion, we are able to reach a stage where we can say confidently exactly what is the goal of human beings, and which is universal, which is not just subjective. Because when we will scrutinize it at individual level, when we examine or individually, or when we see, meditate over it, or when we survey among other human beings. So when we examine, or when we scrutinize, been introspecting ourselves, examine together in mutuality, or survey it in totality of human beings, we will find exactly this is what everybody is seeking in the name of happiness. That we don't want to be afraid, we don't want to live in fear, we want to ensure that everybody is respected, we want to ensure everybody is treated fairly, we want to ensure that everybody, not only my needs are being met full or fulfilled, physical needs, everybody else is also fulfilled, so that there is no fear of being our resources being snatched away. And then we are also seeking that fearlessness in society through this feeling. At the same time, we are seeking that all these needs are met with the balance in the nature, because if there is no balance, there is no harmony in the nature and human beings, then again there will be a big question mark whether these needs can be maintained, continue to be met in future. So here I come, that if I have to decide, if I have to propose what is the universal human goal, it would be seen as confidence in self, and which we call solution. If we examine it further, let me take this thing further. If we examine our life, we see confidence where we have solution in our life. You would be you must have given many exams, right from high school to 12th and then JE, and every exam you would have find that you felt confidence where you knew the answers to the questions, and you would have felt miserable, fearful, where you did not know the answer. You could see two three kind of students in your friends: the person who was prepared with the syllabus, who had studied throughout the year, who had well prepared, and if he was prepared, he knew the answer to all kind of questions, and he well felt confident. On the other hand, the person who did not prepare, who spent time in playing cricket or watching TV or enjoying or roaming around, and then he suddenly felt that he didn't know, then he would be very fearful of going to the examination. So confidence comes where we have solution to the questions, and which is called a state of samadhan or resolution. So confidence comes from resolution. So we propose that since child is curious, as I said, therefore curiosity means seeking answers to the questions. So curiosity is related. A child is looking for the answers to all the questions, and that state is called resolution, state of resolution. And from resolution, we feel confident. So this way, and then only we feel fearlessness in ourselves. We feel confident, so we don't feel worries, we don't feel fear, and we can ensure our respect through ourselves, not depending on others. So it becomes absolute state of well-being for every human being. So it is not subjective. At the same time, it is universal. So I propose from this state, examining this state of happiness, that universal human goal is resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence, which I again define: resoluteness or confidence in every human being, confidence, resolution with prosperity in every family, in society, resolution, prosperity, and fearlessness. That is the goal we would like to achieve, and we would like to have harmony with nature, which is can be called coexistence. This is the goal of human life. If we achieve this, we can continue to maintain it, but we all together have to strive. You can ask the question whether it is realistic, whether how to achieve it. We will have material to go through that. Yes, whether it can be achieved, whether it is possible or not. But at this stage, let us examine whether this is what we aspire or not, whether what we desire or not. I would like to take a pause if there are any questions on this goal as we have identified. Hello, Hinaji, everybody else.
Any doubt, any questions?
Sir, can I ask one question? It may be
Please,
off the cycle from this.
Ji, please ask. If it is off, we'll try to connect if it is connected, and if it can be answered here, please do ask.
Sir, as you said that everyone tries to to seek the feeling of happiness through different things, right? Being
Right,
fearless, gaining importance in the society.
correct.
But sir, when one individual understand the fact that once we are trying to achieve something, we give our hard work into it, and we are successful or we are failed in that, doesn't mind. But after that, the feeling which we feel, it may be happy, it may be sad, but it's temporary, and after
Hmm,
that it goes, right?
right,
But when one understand this cycle, that in life again and again we are trying to achieve something, and the feeling which we seek after that is temporary, and after that it won't create a lot of difference in life. So so after understanding this cycle, one individual may stop working hard or putting his efforts into something, because he understood that whatever he's going to get is temporary, and
correct,
wherever he will go after failing, there he can settle, right, because one can be happy in small house also, one can be happy with eating very less food also, right?
correct,
so
correct. Please go ahead.
so
What exactly is your point?
so
Uh,
the
uh,
question
uh,
is the question is, when one stops making the effort by understanding this cycle, then will we call him as an unhappy person or as a more mature person of understanding this, like he is lacking what's the meaning of life?
then we cannot call it happiness, happy person. We can call it a discontent, or what do you give in word in English, which who has become nirasavadi or pessimistic, because whatever he was seeking. So the question here is whether what he was seeking happiness, whether those means were correct, or whatever assumption he had made. So when we go through this cycle of temporary happiness or sadness, it makes people pessimistic, because we are seeking happiness through things which actually whose laws is do not whose laws is not to give happiness. They may give be comfortable. So when we see further during this discussion, we will have to identify what is the comfort and what is happiness. Like the things you said, that you are seeking happiness through eating food, right? But
Yes.
eating food doesn't give happiness actually. What we will give here, what we will propose, happiness comes from through understanding, not through consuming things. Consumption is required, as I said, to essential to survival, but happiness is over and above that. So, when we seek happiness through comfort, it's going to be temporary, and it is going to lead to the pessimistic view that, oh, these things do not give happiness. But it is like this: when you try to solve a question, if you make 10 times wrong attempt to, solve the question, you can either conclude, oh, there is no solution to this question. and become pessimistic. It's a very difficult question. Nobody would have answer to this. Or you can see, though, no, there is a solution. Perhaps right now I have not understood how exactly it should be solved. And once you perhaps understand the concept or law of whether it is integration, whether it is electromagnetic or whatever, right, once you know the concept of that solving that question, you will be able to solve it. So, from your description of happiness, whatever you have described, those are the things which seek for our survival. They don't give happiness. At the most, they give very temporary happiness. So, it is a problem with our assumption that these efforts to gain comfort, think of comforts, will give us happiness. We don't get it. Whether it's a small house, big house, it doesn't give happiness. It gives comfort to our body.
Okay. So from this, one more question arises into my mind, that what's
Yes.
the actual difference between happiness and satisfaction?
Very good. This is what where the next topic I would be taking. What is happiness and what is comfort? We have two type of needs, which was, so you have led me to that discussion, so I can start that now. That there are two types of needs for human beings, right? Hello,
Yes.
Uh,
Ji,
yes,
Ji.
sir.
What was your name? Who? What? Because I'm not able to see. The place I have come to see. There is a lot of brightness. I'm sitting on a roof of the house, so your name I didn't get. Sayan
Ba-
only.
no, sir. It's Balaji.
Balaji, yes, Balaji. Beta. So this leads us to the second question. What is the difference between comfort and happiness? You see, right now we are assuming that the things that we are doing, like eating, so eating is not the happiness. It is required for our body. If we don't eat, we will not survive. But we are seeking happiness through eating. House is required for survival again, it protection of our body, but we are seeking happiness through house. Money as we need for exchanging things like clothing, food. Money gives us comforts, not the happiness. If we seek happiness through getting money, then there is no limit to it, and there is nobody can say that he has got millionaire, billionaire, or unicorn. They don't get happiness because getting happiness, there are different laws for getting happiness and different laws for getting comfort. So we have to differentiate our two needs. So if we see, we have two type of needs. One is for physical, for our body, and one is for our mind. We can say our psychological needs or mental needs. We have to identify these two different kind of needs. Can you identify that? Anyone? Balaji, Beta, or anybody else? What are two different kind of needs?
Sir, one is the need for survival, that is for physical body, and the other is for mental relief or mental satisfaction.
Exactly. So that we have to identify two different kind of needs. So if you say what we call generally roti kapda और मकान है ना कि मानव की क्या है आवश्यकताएं रोटी कपड़ा और मकान. If you find that these needs actually like food, clothing, housing, or mobile, or car, or TV, all these kind of needs are only for our body, right? Physical, they are physical needs that they usually are required that we meet our physical needs to survive and live healthy. That different, these kind of needs are for health and for our survival. If you examine these needs, they are very limited. Though we might have read or we may have come to hear from people that they are infinite, कि हमारी आवश्यकताएं असीमित हैं और साधन सीमित हैं. But when we examine the needs, physical needs, we find that they are very limited. A human being in whole lifetime eat about very limited. If he even if he eats, let's say, half kg of grain per day, including fruit and milk, the whole need would be about 15 kg, or about 2 quintal at the most, per annum. And you can calculate, if one aspire to live about 80 years, then there are very limited needs. You can count it actually. How much clothing you will need all over the whole over your life, you can count it. And you will find certainly they are very definite. You are breathing that air is abundantly available, water is naturally available, though we might have polluted air and water as well. But as it was given to us through nature, it was pure for our consumption. So you will find that food we can grow. So all our physical needs can be met through nature. You will find that whatever we need for our food, for our for survival, for health, all these needs come through application of our labor and imagination on the natural things. And we grow our food, we grow our clothing, everything comes through labor and application of mind. You know? So you will find all our physical needs can be met from nature, and they are very limited. Problem is that clothing is for our body, but when we seek respect from clothing, for example, I want to wear clothes. What kind of clothes we want to wear? Even if we in winter, I want to I want to wear revealing clothes. Let's say sometimes our daughters and sisters try to have revealing clothes. Even films, you would see that hero, or we will call hero or actor, is having sweater and coat, but heroine is shown for whatever purpose, perhaps for exploitation of or making it commercially successful. Purpose is that is having minimum clothes. Then similarly, what is the purpose there? The need is for protection, but for the purpose of commercial, we are having different kind of clothes. Similarly, in the our day-to-day living, if we are wearing clothes for respect, sometimes we may get attention. We may not get the respect. Our friend may sometimes ask, but mostly people become jealous. If you will examine yourself, that you don't respect because of clothes anybody, you know. But we use sometimes mobile phone, our bike, our house, our clothes, just to seek respect. That is a problem, because these things are meant for body, while respect, sense of respect, love, confidence, these are the psychological needs, that my value, my respect, and happiness, or peace, or contentment, they are not for the physical requirement. So you will see that the physical needs, food, clothing, these are limited. And but if you see peace of mind, or love, or contentment, or respect, these are limited. In fact, they are qualitative things, they are not quantitative things. You cannot quantify how much respect do you want. You need respect all the time. You cannot compromise that your friend, or your even your father respect you only 5 days a week, and 2 days humiliate among everybody. That is our actually problem in the families. Our parents tend to humiliate us among our friends itself, by comparing ki, look, other person has got into IIT and you only got stick to NIT. That's a very wrong comparison. That comes from our wrong understanding of things. We don't understand what human beings are, what their needs are, how they can be fulfilled. So when we use these things, or we see these things as, like, if you go to a marriage, and you will find that you would have clothing because you would want to have respect there. But that clothing may not be very comfortable to you, and that is why the moment you enter your house, you immediately want to get rid of it, whether it be tie or coat or tight pant or whatever. In house, you would like to be in a very comfortable half pant or maybe t-shirt. I don't mean to suggest that you roam around in the streets or colleges in half pant or t-shirts, but you can still have a very comfortable, if the purpose is known, if the value of clothing is known. So here my point is that physical needs are definite, they can be quantified, and they can be procured from nature pretty easily if we have understanding, if we have knowledge, we have skill to get them. How to get the respect, how to get that confidence, how to get the trust, which is what our psychological needs or mental needs, which is are infinite, which, or we don't say infinite, their need is continuous. If we look at the physical needs, they only are needed when we need them. We need food not all the time. We need food when we feel hungry, maybe 3 times a day. In fact, if somebody asks you to eat continuously, it is called considered disease if you keep on eating. This is called actually disease, and your body will keep on becoming like balloon, and might get burst one day. So it becomes a disease, and then you try to seek cure to that. If you one need keep on eating continuously, these are not continuous needs. We we need food when we feel hunger. We need clothing in summer, very different, in winter very different, rainy season very different, because they are according to needs. Similarly, whatever needs, you don't need car for 24 hours. You need car when you need to transport. So these needs are limited. They can be procured from nature, and they are only when they are needed in the time. On the other hand, if you look at the psychological needs, whether it is sense of confidence, sense of respect, sense of belonging, sense of love, they need continuous. You cannot say my friend only needs me for when he needs or he or she needs, and rest of the time I'm being ignored. I would not like that. That is my continuous need. Whatever relationship I have, whether in family or with friends, that I need continuity of trust, respect, and love. Those are psychological. Question is how to ensure those. I can ensure my physical needs, but bigger confusion or illusion is when I try to meet the psychological needs through physical needs, when I use things to meet my psychological needs, things for happiness, when we seek respect from things, that is when you will never get fulfilled. That is where the confusion is. So there are two different laws for meeting these two needs. First of all, these two needs are very different. They are very black and white, as you can see. If we were if we are together in the board, I would have made some experiments with you, done some calculations and interacted. However, there is a limitation of this online session. There can be most of the time monologue, but I will still invite you to examine this before we conclude from this. So I have three conclusions. First of all, we have two kinds of needs. One is physical, another is psychological. Physical needs are definite, limited. Psychological needs are unlimited or continuous. Physical needs are timely, whenever they are required, then only they are needed, while psychological needs are continuous. You cannot afford to have not have them even for a moment. While if physical needs are given continuously, they become punishment. Actually, you can only be given a punishment that you have to continue to eat for 24 hours. You will actually, even if your favorable dish, you cannot continue to eat. You just need when you need. You cannot even watch TV, your favorite program, continuously for 24 hours. You cannot sleep 24 hours continuously. Physical, whatever requirements are only time bound. They are whenever they are needed, only then they are needed. Psychological needs are continuous. Again, they are not tradable. You cannot meet physical needs through psychological needs, and you cannot meet psychological needs from physical things. However, due to illusion or through the social assumptions or prejudices, when we try to follow certain norms which are not has been examined, when try to meet the our psychological needs through physical needs, we get into the problem. So I would take a pause here to have any questions or feedback on these or clarification on the needs. Whether we are able to see that we have two different kind of needs and there are two different nature. Then, if there is any clarification, please go ahead and you are free to ask now. Balaji,
Explain difference between satisfaction and happiness.
okay. What is the
Satisfaction. What is
what is the
satisfaction?
distinction between satisfaction or happiness? I will see there is a very subtle difference between these two things. Happiness is when our hope of meeting our all needs is there. That is sense of happiness. I will repeat. When I am fearless, when I am confident, and I am assured that my physical needs will be met, that is called happiness. And when I have assurance that I have enough resources to meet all the physical and psychological needs, that is called satisfaction. Am I clear? Should I repeat? When I am confident that I I can meet all my needs, that is happiness. The confidence, sense of confidence is happiness. And sense of certainty or assuredness that all my needs, when I have defined all my needs, I have understood all my needs, and I have assuredness, I have skills, I have knowledge and understanding that all I can meet all my needs. That is called sense of satisfaction. That is the difference.
So satisfaction caters towards the psychological self, and
And
happiness caters
physical as
towards
well.
the physical aspect of
No,
ourselves.
both are psychological as well as physical. So I have not differentiated. Happiness is, as I say, state of being confident, right?
Hmm. Yes, sir.
And satisfaction is that I know all my needs can be met. So I am looking at the broader aspect that there is enough resources also to meet those. I have a certainty or assuredness. So that is called satisfaction. Contentment.
Yes,
So
sir. And understood, sir.
understood? Correct.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. Anybody, any other questions? Otherwise, I can take just the next theme which is left and then I can open again. Wonderful. So, Hinaji, should I go further then? Understanding human being?
Sir,
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Somebody is asking, please.
sir, if I
If
made some resolution and I'm whatever I'm doing, I'm confident about it and also I'm fearless. But
Hmm.
uh, if someone is doing like this, then it doesn't mean that he will be if his aim is being like Einstein, he can't be Einstein. Then his aim is not going to achieve. Even he is fearless and confident and whatever you said is required. Then how can we
Uh,
say happy?
Somebody is not Einstein. That is what did you say? Manish Bhai. I suppose Manish Beta, your name is Manish?
No, Prince Tripathi.
Haji. Ji. Please say again. Did I hear because your
I
voice got broken? I could not hear you continuously.
sir, if someone wanted to be Einstein, okay, not
Einstein.
Einstein, but
Okay.
something like that, and he's preparing for that whatever he wanted to. He's gaining knowledge. He's being confident on it. He's
Okay.
he made resolutions and whatever you said, and he is also fearless. Okay,
Hmm.
but as we know that there is a lack of IQ. We can say if someone has that much level of IQ, then he can
IQ,
be
lack
like
of
that.
IQ, right? Okay,
Yes,
very
sir.
good.
Then
I
how
think you have raised a wonderful question. How can he be happy, right?
yeah,
Or satisfied? Wonderful. When we look at the existence, I didn't get your name, but whatever dear you are, uh,
Tripathi.
Tripathi ji. You want so the question is, we are looking what is the universal aspiration from the nature or existential point of view. One has to examine whether certain traits is imposed by ourselves because of our belief system. Let's say because we think that IQ is required or IQ should be higher like of Einstein, is that is our need, or being fearlessness and confident is our need. If you look at universality, being Einstein is not the goal. Having higher IQ is not the goal. Every human being's whatever IQ it has is sufficient to be happy. That is how we understand. If you impose, you can see that whatever assumption is because of our certain belief system, we may want to be like something else. That is what I said, that we will be examining the universalities of human beings. I'm not saying that being Einstein is wrong, but if somebody is by naturally inclined and naturally it has got that IQ and it can do certain things, that is as good as being a farmer, because even a farmer can be happiness. He may not have that IQ. If he can have trust and confidence and he knows what his value in the society is. So that is my understanding that if we assume that being having IQ like of Einstein is only basis of happiness, then everybody will be miserable, or maybe only one person or one or two or very few people can achieve happiness. But here I am examining what are the universal traits or of being happy, which is the essential characteristics of being happy. There can be something more always, but what is necessary to be happy? What is necessary to be happy is being confident, being fearless, being without pain, being without worries. That is the essential quality of being happy. Over and above, if one can become Einstein, well and good. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. So this is understanding human beings. So we have understood what is human goal, which is a resolution. That means having answers to all the questions related to living in our life. Now you have just broadened it. You can ask whether it is possible or not, but my proposal is that it is very much possible to have answers to questions, which is called resolution, because then only our curiosity will be satisfied. We all want to know. We are existential unit of knowledge order. We only get satisfied through knowledge. Animals don't need to understand. We need to understand. This is our need, which is part of being confident, right? So that is our goal, to be resolute. Right? Then to be resolute as well as prosperous, we also need physical comfort. We are not saying that just we should become Gyani and we don't need food or housing or clothing. We need both the things, comfort as well as happiness. So we need physic to meet physical needs as well as to be have met psychological needs, and that is the state of prosperity, right? Which we call samriddhi. In Hindi, we define human goal as samadhan, samriddhi, abhay, and sahastit. Samadhan is a state of being resolute, having answers to all the questions related to our living. That is called samadhan or resolution. Prosperity means samriddhi. We have our needs, we know what our needs are, and we know how to fulfill them. That is the state of prosperity. Third is a state of fearlessness, abhay, society that everybody. So we have to, as a whole of humanity, it is just not enough that my needs are met. My I'm happy that I have enough to meet my needs and I'm resolute, because then if the others who are not met, they may be willing to steal from us or snatch from us. So when will be the state of fearlessness? When everybody has a sense of resoluteness and prosperity. So that is the third part of the goal, which is Swayam Samadhan, that is resolution in every human being, every individual, resolution and prosperity in every family. That is essential. Then only everybody can be happy, and then only the whole society will become fearlessness when every family is ensured resolution and prosperity. How to do is a separate question. Whether it is utopian thinking or realistic, we need further discussion to understand it. Perhaps your teachers, whoever others will be taking the discourse, would be addressing this aspect, how realistic it is. But right now, if we identify the human goal, that is how it turn out to be. Existentially, from our aspiration point of view, from studying the child, from seeing the evolution of human race and coexistence with nature. Fourth is that there should be balance in human and nature. Every other thing, whatever exists in the nature, there has to be a balance. Then only we can survive and live happily. So these are the four aspects of, as a human society, human race or humankind or humans as we call it, the go part of the goal. Second, we understood what are our needs. So we have two kind of needs, physical and psychological, and we understood the difference between these two. One is the comfort, and one we can call happiness in general. Whether it is respect or whether it is confidence, trust, love. These are the our needs psychologically, and we understood that psychological needs are continuous. We can't be without them. We can't live happily without them even for a single moment. While the physical needs are not required continuously, they are only required when they are needed as per the time or as per the requirement. These are the two things we could see. I will very briefly touch. This takes us to the question who we are now. Now we can understand. That is the third part of the understanding human beings. When we have understood what is our goal, what are our needs, and who we are we just the body and brain, or we are something more than body and brain? This is a bigger question. This is a ongoing research going on. What is the source of consciousness? What is consciousness? Science is trying to find out answer to this. This Shri A. Nagaraj, based on which this universal human values subject is designed, the fundamental aspect, a philosopher, a scientist, I would call it, Shri A. Nagaraj has proposed answer to this. I would consider Sri A. Nagaraj just equivalent to Newton or Einstein, who has given good theories, or a philosopher like Bertrand Russell or Socrates or Aristotle, in that category. Uh, which is what the inventors are, which is what the people who invent new things or give new proposal to the society. They are sociologists, they are philosophers, they are scientists. So he has provided answer to this question, that who we are, and it can be logically understood. One doesn't have to really go to Himalayas to meditate to understand this question. As we understand science, through science, magnetism, as we understand electricity, as we understand many other aspects, as we understand artificial intelligence, as we understand communication, similarly we can understand what human beings are in the classroom through dialogue, through experimentation. Only thing is the experimentation would be different because it is not physical entity. So I would say, because we have two different needs, we are actually coexistence of two different entities. I would repeat, I am just proposing, just because we have seen that we have two different kind of needs, it indicates that I as a human being is coexistence of two different entities, which are completely two different nature. How wonderful that I as a human being is combination of two entities. I will give them the name now. It's simply one is a psychological entity and one is a physical entity, and that is why we have two different kind of needs, so black and white, and that is why we have two different. That is why the needs also have two different nature. That one is the need, one need is continuous and one is very time bound, because these two entities are actually having are different in fundamental nature. When we examine them, excuse me, I'll just take a sip of water and we'll be back with a moment. Just 1 minute, please.
If you have any question, then ask, sir.
Sir,
Yes, please. Yes, please. Am I audible now? I just needed a sip of water, which I had. I
yes,
had to
sir,
move.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Haji, please, please, go
Sir,
on.
is it possible to be happy without being satisfied?
See, a question would be different because happiness and satisfaction comes together actually. It's like, is it possible to have light and heat, let's say in a bulb, without electricity?
Okay, sir.
Correct? So they are
Sir,
concurrent
we can
here.
say that. Sir, we can say that if I pass certain examination and I'm happy to pass that examination, but I'm not satisfied because I can do better. I'm
Correct,
happy but not
correct.
satisfied.
Right. Happiness is moment to moment, while we have continuity of happiness only when we have condition of satisfaction, contentment as we call it, which is what we are seeking. So I would say that four states are concurrent: happiness, peace. In fact, you are not asking about peace, but we also seek peace also, right? Or do we want trouble in thoughts? How do you see? Don't we seek peace, peace as well,
Yes, sir.
isn't it? So these things are concurrent. So I would say there are four things that we seek continuously, and they have subtle difference. In fact, if other people perhaps may be taking this course may point it out, or when you any one of you want to study in deep, we call it Jivan Vidya or Madhysth Darshan. As Hinaji has invited us, we are the student of Jivan Vidya or Madhysth Darshan who are taking part of this syllabus. If any one of you want to explore it in detail, and you are in NIT Raipur, there is a Sansthan where we are found usually, Abhyudaya Sansthan, which is 20 kilometers from your place. Any weekend, or you can ask Hinaji, your teacher, and she can guide you to. If any one of you want to understand in detail, you are more than welcome to attend our workshop whenever your leaves are there. So we can give answer to these questions in detail, but we are seeking four things in together: happiness, peace, contentment, and joy, as we call in Hindi, Sukh, Shanti, Santosh, Anand. They are a result of understanding, or we call bodh or realization, understanding, comprehension of existence. So in root, there is a state of understanding or a state of delusion. That is all we are there. That means either we can call we have a state of incomplete understanding. For example, you can be a good engineer, or computer engineer can be good engineer about computers only, but he has little idea about how to grow, let's say, tomato. Somebody understand tomato. When we understand the whole purpose of existence, purpose of human being, and purpose of my role into the whole existence, there are three fundamental questions that we have to understand. I'm repeating. As a result of that only, we will have in ourselves the state of happiness, peace, contentment, and joy. The three fundamental questions are: number one, what is the form or exist? What is the direction of this evolution in existence? What is the purpose of existence? What is the structure of existence? That is number one. Number two, what is the form, structure of human being, and what is the purpose of human being in this existence? I had said why first existence, because human purpose has to be within the purpose of existence. Just like you join a company, your department goal has to be in synchronized with the goal and mission and vision of the company. You cannot have separate department goal of department without this mission and vision of the company. If you are having, then there is a problem. If department goal of a company is different from the mission and vision of the company, then there is a problem. And within the goal of department, your individual role has to be identified, whether you are business analyst, whether you are marketing manager, whether you are commercial manager, whether you are engineer. That has to fit in within the vision and mission of the company. Similarly, unless we understand what is the mission and vision of the existence, why existence is there, what is there in the existence, what all is there, what all is happening, until we understand that, we are not able to identify the goal of human being. Why human being are there then? That is understood. So consider human being as a department, and whole existence as a corporation. It's just an analogy for us to appreciate, because we are all students of engineering. I'm sure you will be able to appreciate this, since I have worked in multinationals and public sector companies. This analogy suits. Whenever I share this with students, I think they are able to appreciate that. Considering existence as a corporation, we have to understand if there is any mission and vision of this existence. And human beings as a humankind, human race, being a department, then we have to understand, okay, what is the goal then, which has to be in synchronization with the mission and vision of the existence. And my individual role as being an Balaji, Surendra, Hinaji, everybody, Surendra Bhai, whatever we are, what is my individual role in this whole human goal? If there is a synchronization, all these three things, and I understand these things, result of that understanding, and when I do function according to that, the result of that feeling is happiness, peace, contentment, and joy. If there is a disharmony between these three things, which is right now because we don't understand, or we partially understand. I don't say that we don't understand, because we at least understand we have to survive, depending on understanding the natural phenomena which we have tried to master over the years, and we have ensured our survival. That is the population on this planet is the proof that we have mastered the survival. Of course, it is at the verge of extinction if we continue the same direction. So it is asking for us to course correction as well, and which we are searching. So peace, happiness, contentment, joy is the condition which results from the harmony at these all three levels between me, the human race, goal of human race, and the goal or purpose of the existence. When there is all these three levels, there is a harmony, and when I think about that, I am at peace. My desires or needs are aligned with that. I am at contentment, and when I live through that moment to moment, every moment, that is happiness, and I am in joyful state. That's how it is. Again, is there any question before I just finish my last part? Okay, let me just complete the last proposal. I was saying that part of understanding is that as a human being, who am I? So I am a combination of psychological entity and physical entity. Physical entity is called body, which has I call Hina Didi, what do we call word for anachik kriya? Hina ji, what do we call anachik? Uncontrolled or
Unconscious.
not unconscious? Anachik. जैसे हमारा दिल का धड़कना है, that is a activity which happens without my control. What do we call it? Involuntary. Yes.
Involuntary.
Involuntary. Thank you very much. That's the word I was looking for. So body has all the activities, all the actions which are involuntary. For example, my breathing is going on, my heart is pounding, I'm digesting. These all are involuntary activities. That is called the body. The sum of all these activities or the systems, like I call digestive system, breathing, respiratory system, excretion system, these are all involuntary. That is called body. However, psychological entity has all the action voluntarily. Like I voluntarily decide whether I should hear this lecture or not, whether I should participate in any game or not, what do I want to watch, which program do I want to watch TV. There are 1,000 channels, there are thousands of programs, I only select one. That is the choice I make moment to moment. That is the psychological entity which is making the choice. It is body cannot make the choice which program it wants to say. So out of 1,000 channels, you decide one at a given moment, that whether you want to watch India Australia match, or whether you want to listen to this or India South Africa match, or or Ashes series England or Australia match. That is a choice you make moment to make, or whether you want to watch football, or whether you want to watch a movie, classical or new. These are the choices you make moment to moment. That is a psychological entity which is making choices. Body doesn't make any choices. Correct? Psychological entity also keep on deciding. So that is the one activity which is a very voluntary, that you make selection. We call chain. That if you go to a restaurant, you make a choice before going, even before going, or even before eating, even before going there, that which kind of restaurant you want to go. Whether you want to go to Indian, Mughlai, Chinese, Thai, Mexican, South Indian, North Indian, Punjabi. We go on. This is the choice we make all the time. Why do we make choice? Because we want to enjoy. We want to take joy or taste. We want to taste that activity, whether eating, going, or whatever you want to select. The basis of that selection is tasting. So these are the two activities which are voluntary. Body doesn't decide what you want to eat. You decide and then seek joy or happiness or contentment, whatever. Or actually tasting, you are seeking in that. So these are the two activities of psychological entity. I would name it. We name the body. What do we name the psychological entity? Some people call it mind. Somebody call it intellect. We give a name जीवन, because जीवन is the one जो जीता है, body है, जिंदा रहती है. The survival is related to body. while living happily is related to this psychological entity which we call Jivan. So Jivan has 10 kind of activities. Body also has many kind of activities, but all the bodily activities are voluntarily involuntary activities. All the activities in Jivan or psychological entity are voluntary activities. We make choices, we make selection, we taste. Also, we compare things. Whenever we try to eat, whether it is tasty or is it healthy also. If we have a certain disease, let's say diabetes, so we may have choice of liking of rasgulla, but we like it, but we may not eat it because it is not good for me, health point of view. It is not healthy. Then we also compare whether it is how costly it is, right? So there are six kind of comparisons. When you go in detail, you would learn all that. Three kind of tasting is there, which is sensory pleasure. Then we call joy in relationships, and then joy in understanding the human existence, the joy in knowledge. So sensory pleasure, then there is a relationship joy in relationships, then there is a joy in understanding. So these three kind of testing the activity have comparison of six type. We right now we only try to judge from 3 point of view, which is from the senses, from the healthy point of view, from the profit or loss point of view, from the but there are three more bases of comparison, which is justice, righteousness, and existence or truth. Then we do comparison. So this is fourth kind of activity. And then we visualize. The moment I say rasgulla or gulab jamun or lotus or any other flower, or I say Amitabh Bachchan, suddenly you will have a picture within you. Or I say your mother, then picture of your mother and many senses will come to you. So these are the activities of psychological entity. Then psychological entities have five more activities, which I will be just name now because of the limitation of this class itself, which is comprehension or revelation, which is called sakshatkar. We can the meaning of this existence comes revealing to us. That activity also happens with the psychological entity. Then there is understanding, which we call both. Then, according to both, we decide to live. That is called determination. And then there is a realization. And then there is a evidencing. So I will have named only these 10 activities. But the fundamental difference between 10 activities of this psychological entity, which we call Jivan, and the many activities of body, which you all know, is that all the bodily activities are voluntarily, while the psychological entity, the activities of psychological entity Jivan are voluntarily. I think I would end my sort of talk here. Most of the time it has been monologue, but I am imagining myself, visualizing that all of you have been paying attention to it. May not be all of you would have been paying attention in equal proportion, but wherever you would have found something interesting, and it is my hope that you would have, if not found answers, at least it would have raised curiosity, raised certain questions that you would like to examine or understand these things further. I would I'm very happy to invite you for further discussion if chance happens to interact with you. And if you want to have interaction, that you are free to please communicate to Hinaji, Madam Hina, and she can let me know if you like to have further discussion on these aspects that I have covered today. If at all, right now there is any question, please feel free to ask. Is that okay, Hinaji? Dr. Hina?
Yes, sir. If you have any question, ask. Any question? Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us your valuable time. We will have the opportunity to hear from you in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hinaji, inviting on behalf of NIT. I'm very pleased. I was very pleased to answer questions, whatever and interesting aspects came from the students or faculty. Thank you very much. Look forward to see anyone or all of you again in future.
Sir, you said